All right, guys, we have 3 days until Olympic trials begin.
How did that happen?
It's flown by.
How did that? I mean, I guess it's only been 3 years, which is how that happened.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, when you're competing, your whole world is just like electric.
I know. I'm so excited to talk about this because I feel like trials obviously is so fun to watch, not just within the swimming community, but outside of it as well. So I really hope today that along with our dear swimmers, we also have our audience that is getting to know the sport and we can really shine some light on what Olympic trials is. So you guys know that is going to be our focus for this episode. It is going to be all about Olympic trials. As Katie just said, we're 3 days out, which is so exciting. I am so thankful for Element because I truly think that without them, I would not be hitting my hydration goals. Element makes staying hydrated not only easy, but also so delicious. Element contains 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium, and no sugar. And all of that is based on clinical evidence behind those electrolyte ratios. If you guys haven't tried their sparkling yet, it is going to be the drink of the summer. I promise you, there's nothing more refreshing than taking a can of Element sparkling out of your fridge in these hot summer days and knowing that you're staying hydrated while truly, truly enjoying it. Especially as a mom, I know how important it is during pregnancy, during breastfeeding, during postpartum to stay hydrated. Always check with your doctor to make sure you're doing what's best for you. But I'm so thankful that I have had Element throughout my entire journey as a mom to help keep me hydrated and going and strong like a mother.
When it comes to my jewelry, I need 2 things. I need style and I need convenience. OXB Sweatproof Jewelry has done just that for me. I am obsessed because I can swim, I can sweat, I can shower, I can sweat, I can shower, and I don't have to take the pieces off because if I take the pieces off, then I lose them. We are so proud to partner with OXB because they are female founded, they're based out of Denver, Colorado, and they are all about quality over quantity. I can't tell you how many times I've had jewelry on and it's tarnished or it's been damaged, and I have had OXB pieces for multiple years now and been able to wear them nonstop. So we've got a special code for you. It is Unfiltered Waters for 15% off. Go shopping, treat yourself, and look stylish.
There is so much that goes into these 8 days. You guys, I mean, these athletes, normally it's 4 years. This cycle with Tokyo, of course, being postponed a year, it's been 3. But they have literally been working every single day for the past 3 years for these moments. And I think that's one of the toughest things about our sport and about trials is you go and you have one shot.
One shot.
Like if you get sick, if there's an injury, if there are so many little things that can happen where if it doesn't happen this time, it's another 4 years before you get this opportunity. So the pressure box that is Olympic trials it's honestly hard to put into words.
Yeah, I always try to do that because obviously having left the sport and going into a corporate world, it's like it doesn't even compare. But think about, a presentation that you're up all night, you're up all week stressing about. But if you mess up a little bit, you get another shot in like a month, or you're not getting essentially what it feels like when you don't make your goal, you don't make the Olympic team, you feel like you've been fired. It's that sinking feeling. It's just heartbreaking. It's gut wrenching. And so it's really hard to put, I think, into words if someone hasn't gone through it. But when you're watching on TV or when you're there, you can see it on the swimmers' faces. And we'll talk about that, the difference of watching the people that make the team and then watching the people in one lane over having the worst moment of their life. It's just, I get chills up and down just thinking about it.
Infamous third place.
Which
we'll talk a lot about today, you guys. But for context, for a lot of events, individual events, it's top 2 make the team. So that third place for people, which let's clarify, getting third in the nation is phenomenal, like unbelievable accomplishment. To even be at trials is an unbelievable accomplishment. So that third place is so tough because you are clearly one of the best swimmers this country has to offer. And yet you will not be representing them. at the Olympic Games in the summer.
Yeah.
So it is an emotional roller coaster. Katie and I have each been to 3. So we are going to take today to talk about our own experiences, what our major takeaways were from each of our trials experiences, but then also talk about what we're looking forward to for this one. There's so many fun and amazing things. And we know we probably just doomsdayed Olympic trials.
And we're like, 3rd place, gut wrenching. Look at the person's face. Like, that was so
It is amazing. I promise it's still really great, especially as a spectator. It is so fun to watch. As you guys know, our country has an unbelievable history in the sport. So when you are watching U.S. Olympic trials, you are watching the best swimmers in the world.
Also, we didn't say this, it's in the Colts Stadium. It's in the football. Like, I am so jealous. We'll get into this piece, but like the fact that there's going to be 3 50-meter pools just plop down in the middle of the football field.
It's going to be insane.
Wild. It's
so
wild.
Excited.
It's going to, yeah.
All right. So we're going to get into all of that. We will start by throwing it back. So Katie, I want to start with you because out of the 2 of us, you had the first Olympic trials experience.
AKA I'm way older.
Okay.
Yes.
But see, I didn't say it like that because I love you. Barely. But let's talk about 2004 Olympic trials.
Yeah, so 2004 Olympic trials was in Long Beach, California, and it was outdoors, which for people who aren't swimmers is tough because not only are you adding the outdoor elements, you're adding your own nerves and all of those factors. And so, I had turned 15 2 months before, so I was such a baby, terrified out of my mind, swimming against all these people that I looked up to. And I remember thinking, okay, I've got a shot. And then in the prelims, I gained 10 seconds.
No.
And I feel like we've not really talked about 2004.
No, that's why I'm so
Similarly,
excited.
with 2016, we haven't talked about. But yeah, I went in 400 IM, best event, best shot to make it. Actually came into the meet being ranked first, which was... You just feel like
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you feel like you have a target on your back.
Oh my gosh, at 15.
And just got so nervous. Like I felt really great in the first 100, which it's a 4.5 minute race. So I'm like flying and like, woo, I feel great. And then at the 250, the wheels came off and just slopped through the final 150 meters, which felt like it was 20 minutes and it was,
at least.
Under 2 minutes, and touched the wall, turned around and basically looked. And I think I got like 5th in the heat, but I gained 10 full seconds from my best time, which for people who aren't, like 10 seconds is an eternity to gain.
Yeah.
Like it's an atrocious race. Like, let's just call it out. It's an atrocious, and I never forget getting out and just feeling like I was kind of watching myself from above. And I actually remember Rowdy kind of like kneeling down and was like, no, Katie, I think you still got in. Meaning I think I still got in the top 8, which is insane. And so I ended up getting 6th. My heat just happened to be pretty fast in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, okay. So, and that's why I was in lane 7, which is why 7 is my lucky number. I was in lane 7 and then obviously came back that night and got my SHIT together.
But how did you do that? Like at 15, you went from, because we get this question all the time from athletes where it's like you start off a meet. And again, this is so relevant to life as well, because maybe you head into a situation and it just starts off on the wrong foot.
Real bad.
Like you have, that's our real life, comparison is like your first race of an 8-day long meet and it's bad. Like,
real bad,
you literally came back that night, made it into finals, top 8. I mean, what were you thinking in between sessions? How were you able to literally turn that around and come back and make an Olympic team after adding 10 seconds in the morning?
I started with a foot-long sub from Subway.
So there we go.
Italian BMT for the win.
Questions.
So an Italian BMT, obviously.
And our new podcast sponsor is
Eat Fresh. So yeah, did that. And I honestly feel like it went, I remember having to warm down for like an hour to clear my lactic acid. It was so much pain, so awful. And then I feel like in a way, it almost freed me a little bit because it was like, all right, I pretty much just hit rock bottom out of the gate. This can't go worse.
now you can only go up.
100%. Like, and actually had never really analyzed it like that, but I'm like, I feel like that it just kind of was like, all right, well, pressure's off. Yeah. I'm in 6th place. I swam horrible. Like, I almost felt like the target on my back had gone away a little bit. And I was like, all right, well, maybe this just, my whole goal was 2008. I wasn't thinking I was going to make my first Olympic team at 15. Like, I just wasn't thinking that. And I just remember coming back and getting in the warm up for the first time. And I was like, I feel so good.
Wow.
Like, you know that feeling when you dive in form
Yes.
and you're like, hell
Nothing
yeah,
better.
like I am in,
this
you
is
know?
it.
Also way worse when that happens and you're like, oh, this is really
Right.
bad. But we'll not talk about that. But yeah, I just remember getting in and I was like, okay, this could happen.
Wow.
And just to speed things up, because we have many more trials to go through, but I just remember feeling so calm. And I remember at the 250 turning and looking, shout out Caitlin Sandino, and seeing that I was ahead of her and in first place. And like, swimmers don't listen to this. I remember actually in the pullout doing a little turn my head to the right, which is like, you do not do that. And I looked and it was the best thing I did. I was like, I'm in first and I feel freaking good.
And I'm going to do this.
And I remember smiling on the last 15 meters of like, I'm making an Olympic team, you know.
Which,
and
again, for reference, if you're smiling in the last 15 meters of a 400
in a 400
IM, something's either really, really bad or really good.
Like there's still a pain, but like, you know. But yeah, I just remember that, and then, you know, ended up winning the 200 IM later that meet, but just still feeling this out of body experience, and just felt so. I even also for swimmers, you don't have to have a perfect race in the longer races. I hit my butt on the wall on the backstroke turn.
Just a little butt tap.
Well,
Just a little something for the wall to remember you by.
Yeah. So that was, I mean, that meet was crazy. I don't feel like I was ready to win both events at trials, if that makes sense, because, you know, then it's like, oh, you have to go make the Olympic, or you have to go swim in the Olympics after that. Yeah. But I think, you know, it was just, I look at these younger swimmers and I look at what happens when you start swimming really fast heading to trials. You know this, right? You swim one fast race and suddenly everyone's like, oh my gosh, like teenage prodigy, it's going to happen. And that, and I had this like just literally physical response when I see that happening to people. It happened to Reagan Smith, right? It's happened to you. And you're like, oh my God, just let them be a teenager and let them just go into the meet and have fun.
Just
and
let them keep doing what they're doing.
Yes, just go enjoy. But once that, you can kind of feel that pressure, that's why I screwed up in the morning. It was just that pressure.
Do you remember the first person who either you hugged or you saw after you made the Olympic team in that 4 a.m.?
It was actually all my teammates. Like they all like kind of like bum rushed me as I came out. And back then, like it's so different. We'll talk about Omaha and all the other, I guess just Omaha. My God. We'll talk about Omaha. But I mean, it was so open in Long Beach. It was just like stands, 50-meter pool, like outdoor meet. Like it wasn't like you had to go through this maze or go down those crazy steps in Omaha. It wasn't like that at all. So it was just like I'd walk off, did the interview, and then everyone was just right there. Yeah. So yeah, definitely really, I actually haven't thought about that since then. So that's cool.
That's so special.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I want to keep talking about you because I'm having too much fun
No.
with this. No. So we're going forward to 2008 and then we can talk about my 2008. But tell us the difference of those kind of 4 years. So when Katie was talking about Omaha, ever since 2004 in California, Olympic trials for swimming has been in Omaha for the past 3 trials. So 2008, 2012, and 2016, it has always been in Omaha. So that has been a space that a lot of us have gotten very familiar with. We've understood it, how it's going to go, the way the pools are set up, all of that. So that's why so many of us are so excited about it being somewhere new this year, both to watch, and I think the athletes are really excited about it as well. But 2008 was both of our first times. It was the first time it was in Omaha. Yeah. So walk us through that. You're now an Olympian. So how was going into that trials different? And when you got there, did you have that same kind of pressure feeling that you did even at 15 when you were in Long Beach?
Yes, because I upped the ante.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like, well, first of all, do you remember like 2 days out of trials starting, the tornado?
Oh my gosh, I have not thought about it since.
Yeah, like it basically was, it took, I don't even know, shingles, is that the word? Yeah. Shingles off the pool, off the arena. And I remember we had to go down all the steps in our hotel and like basically go into like a little mini tornado shelter. And I was like, is this really happening like 2 days before Olympic trials? So hopefully there's no tornadoes happening in Indy.
Fingers crossed for best weather.
But yeah, like I feel like when I wrote about it in my book, I'm like, this is just such an omen of like, it's just like this swirling, you know, tornado metaphor of everything. And I just remember feeling at that point, the lead up was like, you know, I was swimming 5 individual events. There were, you know, I was from Baltimore. I was 15 at my first Olympics. So all those comparisons of Phelps that we've talked about so many times was just stacking. And so I just felt, I mean, I look back, day 1, I had the 400 IM. Day 2, I had the 400 free. Day 3, I had the 200 free, 200 IM double. Day, which was day 4 and 5. Then the next morning I had the 100 free. And then the next day I had the 800 free. And so I just remember entering the meet being like, I'm about to go to battle, and this is about to be a freaking now that I've run a marathon, not even close to a marathon. It's not a marathon. It was just like a ultra. I don't know what it was, but I just remember feeling this like it sounds so bad, but like this like doom. Like I was so confident. Like I felt really good about everything, but I was just like, oh my God, I just felt like I couldn't relax. Like every single thing, I just felt like the most target on my back. And I was like, I don't lose. I can't lose. Like, so it wasn't like I was able to sit there and enjoy, I think the only time I was able to enjoy for a second, I broke the world record in the 400 IM. And I was like, all right, like this is hype.
I remember watching that so vividly.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, and we're about to I am so uncomfortable right now that it's on me right now. I'm like, let's move to 12 and 16. I hate that this is on me. So I'm like trying to rush you through it, but you're not letting me. But you were what, 13 in 2008,
13.
which is crazy. Like to think like we probably passed each other in the warm up pools and
easily.
like it's just.
I remember like the Splash magazine covers that came out with you on them, and then like seeing you. I was in the stands when I watched your 400 IM.
Oh my gosh!
And I remember like the pyrotechnics going off on the side of the pool, so there's flames going everywhere, and you just like crushed the field. It was just like, I think that. No, that was the first world record I've ever seen broken in person.
Stop it.
Was your 400 IM at trials in
sure?
2008. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yep.
That's wild. So yeah, and we're gonna have her on the pod next week. But Elizabeth Beisel, doing that with her, she's 15. I remember winning and making it when I was 15. So it was just like such a special moment. But I just remember feeling like it was just like this swirl. Like 400 free was next. That was crazy stressful. Yeah. Won that, and then 200 free, 200 IM was like nail biter, like broke records there. But I just remember just feeling like this, like why do I feel such anxiety when I've already, I wasn't enjoying it,
which is really surprising because you had already made it. So you would think that had lifted. I know. So it's so interesting that it didn't.
I think it was because making at that point, and this is again why I have this like tightening feeling when people start putting more pressure, like. At the Olympic trials, and anyone who is competing, like top 2 to make the team, second is as good as first. Yeah, right.
It's really the only time in our sport that you are equally as happy to get second as you are to get first.
100%. Yeah. But that wasn't what had been laid out to me for 4 years straight. It was like, no, like here's day 1, you're winning, you're breaking this record. Here's day 2, you're winning. Like, I mean, after practice, every single day, like
it had just been drilled into you.
Drilled into me, and so I remember. Moving ahead, like 200 IM, 200 free, amazing, great. Some 100 free, don't make it out of the semifinals. I got 9th. And that was part of the plan, right? I'm supposed to be on the 4x1 freestyle relay. And I remember there was like a headline of like Hoff fails to, and I was like, oh my,
I mean, days after you've broken a world record.
Yeah.
And, oh my gosh.
So I just, I shook that off. And then the 800 free, there's a funny story with that. It sounds so bad. I was always in lane 4, like the whole meet. And, I was ranked first. So I ended up getting second to Kate Ziegler in prelims. Okay. And so we're parading out and I just go to lane 4.
Oh, no, you did.
And I get a little tap. I look and she's like,
this is my lane.
Excuse me? This is my lane. And I was like, like mortified. Like I wanted to be like, they're announcing names, the crowd. I couldn't be like, oh my God, there was nothing intentional behind this. This wasn't like a power play.
Like no time to explain. You just have to like turn and sulk to lane 5.
Just like, I'm just gonna have to take this. Like, and I just, me, I'm like so awkward. I was like, and I just like went over and I looked in and I was like, I'm so sorry. And like, we get up to race.
And then you go and so
anyways, that was like, I'm like, still tell her, I'm like, I am so like, I'm red right now just thinking about that moment. Like, she probably was like, you little jerk. Are you trying to like play? So anyways, that finished. And, I won the 800. I didn't even want to swim the 800, So it was just like I'd say that meet for me was all stars aligned. I think the reason I have like mixed emotions is just there was way too much emotional energy spent at that meet. Yeah. It should have been like, all right, you've got these events in the bag. Like, you're good. Let's
do what you do.
Go do what you do. Yeah. And then let's focus on the games. Yeah. And so that's when I look back.
Your trials kind of became your games.
100%. 100%.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. And so I think, but it's also tough, right? It's a tough thing to talk about because if you're on the bubble, right, it does need to be your games because you have to be swimming at your best.
100%.
So that, I mean, I think that we can move along to 2012 now. But I do look back on those trials. I was like, oh, so fun. The pyrotechnics and like there's so many amazing memories for me in my career with trials there. But I think something that, and I want to talk about 2012 for you is something that you did a great job of is like at that point, like you're ranked first, your Olympic gold medal favorite. Like, I feel like your trials, you did a great job of being like, okay, I'm here. I have a job to do, which is make the team.
Yeah.
And then it's the real job after that.
Yeah.
So talk to me about, I want to hear a little bit about kind of how 2008 for you shaped you.
Yeah.
I know a little bit of this. And then how, coming into 2012 really helped pave the way for a historic Olympic Games.
Yeah. I mean, 2008 for me was just like, I was 13. I had just turned 13. I got my first Olympic trial cuts when I was 12. I swam the 200 IM, the 50 free, and the 100 free. I got my cuts like a month before trials.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
We were at an Orlando meet, and I remember I was doing the 200 IM, and I was doing my 50 free, which is the last 50 of the 2 IM. And I turned, and I saw my coach, who is known for like going nuts on the side of the pool. He was losing his mind. And I just remember breathing and like taking strokes and breathing. I was like, what is happening?
What are you doing?
So I finished, got my Olympic trial cut, and then like 20 minutes later got up and swam the 50 free and made my trial cut in that too. So I love those last chance meets for athletes because really it's so fun to make those cuts. So I remember just being there, could not believe I was there. And I truly just wanted to like take it in. Like I never swam in a pool of that size before. It's just like I was talking about you. I mean, I literally had posters on my wall back home of Natalie Coughlin and of Michael and of Ryan and of Nathan. And like to be there, all of a sudden I'm in a warm up and warm down pool and you guys are just literally swimming 2 lanes over. Like I'm watching you get ready to race. I'm watching you go to the finals ready room. And it just kind of hit me like, oh my gosh, I'm here with them.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the really cool things about our sport too.
Yeah.
And I talk about this a lot is like, there's not a lot of opportunities for a middle school basketball player to get on the court with Caitlin Clark.
See, yeah, that's such a great point.
And I got the opportunity to be in a pool with Katie Hoff and Michael Phelps. And like that is amazing what that does for a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Like that gave me so much confidence. I think I went best times. So I was
just
happy.
Impressive, by the way.
Yes, it's the statistic is a little bit surprising. Normally only about 50% of athletes go best times at trials. There's so much that goes into that too, but
wait, hold on, pause. Because you do this all the time. You're like swimming with, your idols and gives you confidence. There's a lot of people where they're like, goodbye. Like, I'm so terrified. So like for you took that positively and you're like, no, I can do what they're doing. I think that's another message is like, don't look at these athletes, these Olympians as, oh, they're just these people, right? They're just normal human beings. They just execute. And that's what you saw. You're like, okay, respect, but like, yeah, okay, cool. Like you're warming up, you're getting your suit on. Like I can do that.
Yeah.
Like,
and I just like learned by watching.
Exactly.
Too. Like I was fascinated by just being on the pool deck and seeing like, oh, how long are they warming up? What does their warm up look like? Are they doing starts before they race? Like how long are they giving themselves before they get like, it truly was just, I was like a sponge.
Yeah.
I was just like want to learn everything. So I think the highest place I got was like 33rd.
I mean, the nation at 13?
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
I was thrilled.
Missy and I couldn't be more excited about this brand new partnership with Endless Pools. Talk about luxury to be able to have your own personal lap pool in your house, in your backyard, truly anywhere. It saves so much space, and their exclusive HydroDrive technology powers one of the most advanced swim-in-place currents for next-level swim training and recovery. It's low impact because, face it, I know, running is so hard on your body. Their range of offerings flex to fit any space, any swim level, and it's been so fun to see Hayes and Missy's new outdoor version after swimming indoors for far too many years. I need a tan. Swim training is so much easier with Endless Pools. I might just come out of retirement.
You guys have heard us talk about dream recovery 100 times, and guess what? You're going to hear it 100 more. We cannot get enough of all the amazing things that dream recovery has to offer. As you guys know, Katie and I have so much travel coming up this summer, and I feel like one of the things we haven't touched on is how important it is to maintain the best sleep you can when you travel, and dream recovery has everything you need in order to do that. I have started taking both my sleep mask and my mouth strips on the plane with me. I don't care if people look at me and think I'm crazy. I will use both of those things. I will get naps on the plane. I will sleep on them if they're an overnight flight, and then using them in the hotel is a total game changer. So make sure you're taking care of your sleep, not just at home, but also on the road, and doing it with everything from Dream Recovery. You guys can use code UNFILTERED to get 30% off your order and 50% off your first month subscription of Dream Tape. Sweet dreams. I remember the three most vivid memories I have was the two of them were asking for Megan Jendrick and Cullen Jones for their autograph, because all my teammates gave me all the tickets because I was the only one that could go down on the pool deck.
Oh my God, so you had to
And
go.
so then I felt so much pressure to get all these autographs for all my friends. And so I was just like frantically like running around with like 20 tickets and a Sharpie. And I remember like chasing Megan down. And I think I legitimately asked Cullen on his way to the ready room.
Stop.
No, like
Does he remember
I'm
this?
so cringe about it now, because that's just like one of the biggest faux pas you can do in our sport is like approach an athlete as they're going to a ready room to race. And I was so desperate. I didn't want my friends to get mad at me. So just like, please sign these. They were both so sweet.
I mean,
they signed
obviously,
everything.
yeah.
I mean, and then the other fun, I had so much family there, which was amazing.
That's amazing.
And so my cousins and I were all staying at the hotel. And we were coming home from a session one day, and our elevator broke. And we
just stopped?
Just stopped. And we got stuck in the elevator. Now I'm wondering, like, if it had anything to do with the weather.
Yeah,
but
was it? It probably was.
I know. So we got stuck in an elevator. First and only time in my life so far I've ever been stuck in an elevator. Fire department had to come. They had to like pry open the doors, pull us up and out like through the elevator shaft.
Oh.
My two older cousins were just like flirting with all the firemen, and I was in there like, I have the 100 free tomorrow. Like, what is happening? But I look back, it was such a fun memory. But I really do, like, I've talked about this a lot, but I left that meet looking at my parents from the back seat as a 13-year-old saying, I've got 4 years. Like, I want to come back here at 17. And like, I knew I wasn't going to make the team this time, but I want to come back in 4 years and I want to make the team.
Yeah.
Like, I want to at least give myself a shot at making that team. And that was kind of where my journey led. Like, it was very natural from there. I started making national teams. So I did dual in the pool, and then I did Pan Pacs, and then we did Worlds together in 2011. And Worlds was a pretty big breakout meet for me as well. So by the time trials came around in 2012, I was in a really good position to not only make the team, but make it in multiple events.
Yeah.
And I think it is so interesting in how our journeys differed in that way, that I think my coach, again, Todd at the time, did a very good job of exactly like what you said. You have a job to do for these days.
Yep.
Like, we need to make the team, but at the end of the day, our goal is London.
Yeah.
Like, that is what we're looking towards, and that is where our sights are set. So let's keep our head down, do what we need to do. And again, I didn't feel as much of that pressure because it was still my first time making a team. So I knew that just going in there, like, making a team to me would have been amazing. And like, that for me, like, I felt that was defining success in my mind, was like, if I could make a team, I was only 17, I'd never been on a, like, that I felt was like, okay, like, this would be good. And so that also took a lot of the pressure off of like feeling like I needed to make it in multiple events, which I ended up making it in 7.
Yeah.
So at 17 years old, making my first Olympic team, 7 different events, I think it kind of hit me like once trials were over and we were starting to get prepped for London, and in that kind of moment of like, oh gosh, okay, we've done it, but now, just as you said, we actually have to go swim at the Olympics now.
I know people always, when I say that, people always laugh, and I'm like, no. But like, that is, it hits you because it's just like trials, right? And like, that's good. But
yeah.
And I actually don't know is it possible? Like, people always say like, well, you got to like have that in the back of your head. And like, I guess you can, but even for you, like, it's so difficult to have these two thoughts, especially when, I mean, we're Team USA. Like, the top 8 is pretty much their top 10 in the world. You know what I mean? So you have to be A game. You can't be, just less, even a half a second less, you're not making the team, So it's a fine line to walk, but I think there is that, like you said, that like small mental compartment in your head that has that I do think makes a difference from an emotional perspective. Physically, you have plenty of time to recover. It's that emotional
Agreed.
reserve that you have in place. And I think that's something that it sounds like you were like, okay, no, like I'm ready to rock now.
Yeah. Which is wild. I don't know how I did that at 17. I think I just had unbelievable support people around me that helped me have that mentality, but it was magical. Yeah. I mean, everything about those trials were magical. I remember they had the big Red London phone booth that you would sign after you made the team. And I went back after making it in the 100 backstroke. It's the first official event that I made the team in. And my mom and my aunt had like fully decorated my hotel room.
Stop. That's
so I walked
cute.
in and there was like just USA decor everywhere. They had streamers, they had balloons. And like my coach was actually a little mad about it because they brought all the family to the hotel and they like had this big celebration.
Like, it's day 2.
And my coach was like, she literally has like 6 more events. Like she needs to go to bed now.
Yeah. Oh, that's
but
so sweet,
I remember
though.
it. And then I had that the whole time, which was amazing. And so it's just that really powerful moment of when you touch the wall at Olympic trials and you look up and you see that you've made a team and you have this feeling. And I was told this by Jack Roach, and I'll never forget it, you're now an Olympian for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And you and I say that all the time. There is no such thing as a former Olympian.
No.
Once you make that team, once you compete at the Olympics, you are an Olympian for the rest of your life. So I think just that moment when you guys are watching and you're seeing these athletes touch the wall and that emotion on their faces, like, there's so much authenticity and vulnerability in that because they have done so much to get to that moment for this accomplishment that will be with them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. To be able to zoom in on just that moment. I don't know what other, I think that's why people love sports so much, right? Yeah. You can see like a touchdown or making Olympics or gold medal. It's like this small, tiny moment in time and everyone can see it. Yeah. And even when you look back on your races, you get emotional because you know exactly what was going through your head, you know how you were feeling. And it's also why transition is so hard, right? Because you're like, how in the world am I going to duplicate that, And you can't. We've talked about it. You can't, but you look back on those moments and you're like, wow, like everything came together in one moment. And it's just, it's the most special thing in the world.
And that's what is the emotional roller coaster of Olympic trials is you have those moments of those athletes touching the wall and their greatest dream is coming true. Mm-hmm. Their goals are being accomplished. You see that. And then you have the opposite, which is what you and I were talking about at the beginning. You have the 3rd place finishes. You have the 4th place finishes. You have the athletes that have worked just as hard, that have been dreaming about this just as much, where it doesn't happen and it doesn't come true. And I think when an Olympic trials is heartbreaking, it rips you apart. Yeah. I mean, it is so brutal. So I know that both of us had much different experiences in 2012 for you, 2016 for me, but talk to us a little bit about 2012 Olympic trials for you. Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a weird thing to think back on because Omaha has a very special place in my heart and Omaha has, a heart-wrenching place in my heart, which I always try to, when I think back and I reposition it, there's a lot of silver linings that came out of that meet. Obviously, it's the reason why I went and visited Michigan State and met my now husband. And I don't believe that if I had made the team and gone to London that we would have had the same connection and the same timing. Yeah. So that's a positive. I also feel like it allows me to have that perspective when I'm there at Olympic trials this upcoming time of like, hey, I know what it means to break a world record and have the meet of my life. Yeah. I also know what it means to have an actual disaster of a meet and feel like I don't want anyone to even look at me, And I know there's going to be athletes out there that we know that are going to have meets. And it's like, I feel like I know how to interact. And it's not, hey, it's okay. And, it's
not okay.
It's not okay. It is not okay. And I think for me, it was weird because I've never really had a sideline injury. Well, my blood clot to end my career. But in terms of like being at a meet and being sick or having nerves that made me physically ill, that's never really how I showed my emotion or nerves. And I just remember, first of all, after my quad, like we call it quad, so 08 to 2012 was not picture perfect like it was from 04 to 08. And so, like athletes know going into this meet, right? You know where you're positioned. I wasn't sitting there thinking I was going to go win 5 events and break American and world records. I was like, you know what? I'm going to adjust my mountaintop here. Like, I think I can go. I think I'm swimming times where I think I can make the 4x200 freestyle relay. I decided not to do 200 IM because I wasn't 19 and I couldn't do 200 IM, 200, free double. But I was like, I think I've got that. And I just remember the night before 200 free, like watching day 1 on the television because I was resting for day 2. And just feeling like really off, like super sick, feeling like I'm never not hungry. Like I just like, I can't even like stomach food right now. Like and then I started feeling really weak. And I remember like going to the pool and just feeling like I had no power behind my stroke. I just felt so bizarre and weird. And I just kind of kept shaking it off. And I was like, it's fine. It's fine. I guess, no, it wasn't 200 free. It was 400 free. It was day 2. And I mean, I knew. I was like, I don't know. I can't I don't want to say it out loud because I don't want to give power to this thing right now, but like it's bad. It's really bad. And I remember swimming, gaining went 402 in 2008, went like 411, got passed by like everybody. And just, I remember like those steps that lead down. People have swum in Omaha. It's like so hard when your legs are rubber, but it's also like the best thing when you come down, you have a great swim and everyone's waiting for you. And I just remember like not wanting anyone to acknowledge me. I had to stop and talk to the media, but just feeling like, oh my God, like what is happening right now? I just feel like I'm in a nightmare and I have nothing. Kept it moving. I'm like, all right, it's fine. Still turn free. I actually think we were in the prelim together.
We were.
Yeah. Which is like very like, was the word, like with the stars and Cosmet? Is it Cosmet?
I don't think that's a word, but for sake of it.
Fine. I'm gonna go back and look this up. Like where the planets, like it's like everything comes back full circle.
Sure.
All right.
I think let's just move on.
Cosmet. It is. All right, fine. We'll cut this. But I did like, it's just like very, So like, obviously you know how that went. You won the heat and I swam terribly and I think I was like 31st or something. I don't even remember. And at that point I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm freaking done. These last 4 years have been hell. Yeah. This is just, it's meant to be that, I'm not supposed to do this. And, but like literally feeling, we've talked about this on one of our episodes, just like feeling like, how do I go from feeling like a true star in 2008 to like, I was like, I don't deserve for anyone to want my autograph. I don't people would come up to me and I was like, why would they want my autograph? Which is like, none of that goes away. Yeah. And then I remember this is like I don't even know if he remembers this, but I saw the 800. I was entered in the 800 and I was like, it's day 5 or 6. And I was like, I don't want to do this thing. Like, why? And I remember there was like, if you remember in 2012, there was like this hot tub or like, it's actually Hayes, but I have this vivid memory of Davis and Hayes and Jack, like they're all there. And I was like talking to them and Davis was like, don't you have the 800? And I was like, I mean, why? He was like, I don't know, but like, to finish out the meet and I was like, no, like had such a bad attitude about it. And he texted me later that afternoon and he was like, I think you should do it. And I was like, why? He was like, because that's just like who you are. Like you finish stuff out, you finish it. And I was like, that's a long race to finish it out.
Couldn't it be like a 50 free? Like just
and I was like, no, you're right. Yeah. So I swam it. It was terrible, but I finished out the meet and had my head held high in that. And I remember there's a clip of me talking to the media and I just looked so dejected. But I look back on that. I'm like, I'm so proud I did that. Like,
I'm so proud of you for doing that.
Yeah.
That's incredible, Katie.
Thanks. Yeah. It was just like huge credit. Davis Tallwater. He was just like, dude, that's what? Like, that's, that's not who you, and he didn't do it in a way like calling me out, but he was just like, Katie, like, that's not you.
I know you. I know what looking back on, you're going to look back and it's going to be even more painful to look back knowing
100%. So I was so happy I did that. Wow. And then at that point I was like, I'm done swimming forever. Like I thought I was. Yeah. But yeah, that was my
I think thank you so much for sharing all of that. And I think the really hard part of that too, for people to understand too, is it's not like after trials, like there's a slow exit process from the sport.
No,
Like after trials, you're done. You're done swimming. Like, and again, that's not everyone's story, but like for many swimmers, like if this is their trials and they don't make the team, like a lot of stories end after Olympic trials. Yeah. And so that is often why there's so much emotion and so much pressure around it, because it's like, there's this black hole of unknown that's literally on the other side of the door. And so you're dealing with all of that on top of it. So I am so proud of you for finishing the meet. I'm so sorry. It breaks, like, I wish we had the same relationship. I know. I'm like, I would have just been there hugging you.
I would have hugged you. Yeah. No, I mean, I was, there's, this is dark. We'll like get out of this in a second. But like, I was just like in the stall, like bawling my eyes. There's a lot of people in the stalls at Olympic trials, and so, and it doesn't end because then the Olympics happen. And then you're like, the one time I need swimming not to be involved right now. It's like the world is watching. It's everywhere. So
you're just getting pummeled with it.
You're getting pummeled. But I want to move on. I think part of why I'm willing to share so openly, and you feel the same, is like, yes, like the triumph stories are amazing. And it's going to be so fun to see those people do that. But there's only 2. Yeah. And there's probably 20 to 30 athletes that are having that experience. And I think in that moment, you feel so isolated. You feel so alone. You're like, no one gets it. Right. Yeah. And there's a group of us that I think we are doing a better job of connecting with each other, but like there's a group of us who do get it. And like a hug from that person means everything. Yeah. Like I want to give happy hugs and jumping up and down and like tackle bear hugs, but I also want to give hugs of just like, hey, I got you.
Yeah. You're not alone.
You're not alone.
This.
Yep.
And both of those hugs are so powerful.
Yes. They're both the best.
And we'll get to give them.
We will. I know. We will. I cannot wait.
I know. So, I mean, for me, 2016, was definitely different than 2012. And so much of what you said, of what you went through in 2012, even though I still made the team in 2016, like just resonated and just hit home with me so much. I remember my most, like, I think vivid memory of 2016 is getting 7th in the 100 backstroke. And it's just like you were talking about, like with, and I knew going into trials. Yeah. Like I'd had my shoulder injury a few months prior. I knew going into it, I hadn't been racing nearly where I wanted to be. And I just went in there, but I just kept telling myself, like, it's going to be okay. Like, I'm just going to get there and everything is magically going to align. Yeah. And then you get there and it didn't. And so I get 7th in the 100 backstroke, and I'm the reigning Olympic champion in that event. And I don't even make the team. And I went back to my hotel room that night and cried for 3 hours easily. Like I was embarrassed, like just so embarrassed, and I couldn't believe it. And I was like, how am I supposed to go back out there? Like, how do I finish this out? And it was just like such a come to Jesus moment of like, I've got 2 choices. Like I can just walk away from this now and say, what's the point? Or I can finish. Yeah. And so I went back out there, and then the 200 free was the first event I qualified in. And Katie, I swear to you, I don't know how I did it. I do not know how I got my hand on that wall behind Schmitty.
Muscle memory.
I think it was like, I think it was just, and that's why we say hard work always pays off, and not maybe in the way that you expect or when you think it's going to, but I genuinely believe that it was just the decades of work that I had put in that got my hand on that wall and got me on that second Olympic team. And then I got second in the 200 backstroke behind Maya. And I finished that. And so similar, taking it back to your reaction in, I guess, both 2004 and 2008, there was actually no relief when I had made the team, because my first thought was, I'm going to have to go and do this all over again at the Olympics. And the people that are watching is going to be times 10 versus what was watching this. And I'm already so ashamed and so embarrassed of how I showed up here. How am I going to go and do that in front of 2 billion people? Yeah. So I left that trials so honored to be on my second Olympic team, and also just wondering, how on earth am I going to do this? Yeah. How am I going to get through it? Yeah. So the Olympic trials is a gamut.
It's a
gamut.
Like, the fact that I've had an emotional week. So like the fact that I have not started crying in this is like, there's still time. There's still time. But yeah, I mean, it is. And I think it's important. It's so important to share both. Like,
yes.
I think you and I feel the same way. Like if we give a speech or we talk to kids, like, great. It's so fun reliving the fun memories. Yeah. Like, but that's just not reality. Yeah. And there's just and even within a meet, right? Like I've seen people where they crush one day and then they don't make the team in the other one. You know, like there's going to be up and down. I think the piece that is just so, I don't know what the word is, just so impactful is just being able to look back and know that you got through it no matter what, and know that you came back and you finished. Yeah. And I think I wish that, because we're now going to be the observers, we're going to be the people watching, and there might be someone who doesn't make a team, gets 7th, that was an Olympic. I don't know, right? Yep. There's going to be, you don't know. But I wish that we could see what we look like through the eyes of others. Like we're going to see these athletes where maybe they don't have a great meet, but we're going to be like, yeah, but like you're the American record holder, or you crushed it last year at Worlds, or, you know, like that's what people are thinking. No one's going like, what a disgrace. Like, look at that. No one is saying that. But in that moment, you truly believe wholeheartedly that people are staring at you and judging you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not the case.
No, it's not. And then that's why I'm so happy that we have this platform to like have these conversations, so that anyone who listens to this that now gets to go to Olympic trials, I think are just going to have hopefully just such a more well-rounded understanding of like what all these athletes are experiencing and feeling. And then you can be so happy and so excited about those that make the team. You can see the joy, you can see just the excitement and the honor and the pride. And then you can also look at those that haven't made it, and you can feel so much love for them. You can send them a message and let them know that you're still so proud of how they showed up and of how they raced and the effort that they gave. And I just think, you know, when you're able to see and recognize both sides, it does what we're trying to do here, which is humanizing the athlete. Yeah. And
at
really,
every level.
At every single level, no matter what it is. So there's so many things around it. I know this will probably be, I mean, we get to be at Olympic trials for the full 10 days. Yeah. And I'm sure while we're there, you and I are both going to have lots of emotion.
We need like a bat signal, like not doing okay.
We need a safe word. We need a safe word for trial.
Let's come up with one.
Okay, perfect. It'll be,
I'm going to overuse
whatever your fake word was that you were using earlier.
We're looking this up. Cosmet is a thing. I will bet my life on it, but all right, we'll go back.
Okay, all right. I will eat my words if it really is. But
I feel like I might be eating my words, but just based on past history, I could see I am eating my words, but we'll see.
But we're really excited. We're so really excited. Like you said, I mean, it's the first time in 3 cycles that it's not been in Omaha. The fact that they're putting 3 50-meter pools in the bottom of Lucas Oil Stadium is insane. The spectatorship at Omaha was like 13,000. Here it's going to be 33. Yeah. 33,000 people at a swim meet. Like, I just think it's so good for the sport. It's so fun for the athletes. So what are you the most excited about?
I feel like I have to segment that. In terms of, on a personal level, what I'm most excited about is the fact that I want to be there and I'm excited to be there. Because I went back, and this will be your first trials back, right?
Yes, because I was not at trials
for Tokyo. Yeah. So I went back the first time to give out an award last Omaha, so 2021 trials, and it was so weird because they had, people remember there were 2 waves, and I just remember still having that feeling like, oh my gosh, like why am I back here? Does anyone want me back here? Like it was kind of my first entry into the sport, and it was really hard, and I only stayed for 3 or 4 days. So the fact that I, you know, and this is good for me to say to myself, like the fact that I'm like, okay, I'm so excited to be there. I'm, you know, I'm just excited that I'm excited. And that's like a really big step in my, it's like a really big step in my,
so proud of you.
Really big step in like my journey and everything coming back. So, damn it.
See, we said there was still time.
So yeah, I just think to be there and be with you and have the like wouldn't even thought of that even a year ago that we would be here. And so I think part of another safe word is just like, hey, take a second, look around. Like we're at Olympic trials. We have our own podcast at Olympic trials. We're going to get to talk to people and we're going to get to be excited for them and be that support system that I think we wish maybe we had when we were there.
Yeah.
So
I know, because I'm your best friend and co-host, how much work you have done to get to that point. And I'm so proud of you for doing that. And I'm so honored that I get to be one of the people by your side while we get to go and do this. Thanks. And that's one of the things I'm most excited about too, is for the trials in 2021, I was actually with my husband's family and we were on vacation at the beach. And I was, 8 months pregnant with Caitlin.
Yeah.
And so that juxtaposition was wild. Just knowing that my life as a professional swimmer did not feel that far away. And yet here I am 8 months pregnant, like about to embark on a completely different life. And I was doing really well until I wasn't. And then there was just one night where Hayes and I were together and I just like completely broke down because I was like it's so hard to even wrap your head around how quickly things can change, and that I had worked so hard to get to that trials and I wasn't there, but I was so excited about our future and what was happening. And there was just so many different emotions. So I'm so thankful to be back there. We're bringing Hayes and Caitlin, who will be 3 in August. So it just means a lot to me to get to share something that is such a big part of my life with now what is the biggest part of my life, and get to like integrate the two. I think as a mom in particular, like when you really get to involve your child or your children or your spouse, your partner into what it is that not only you do, but something that has been such a huge part of you your entire life, like it's so beautiful. And you feel like you get to show them this side of you that they don't really know. Hayes does, because he was a swimmer and he grew up in that space, but that Caitlin just sees mommy. Yeah. Right.
She's like, mommy, you can't come in here.
Yeah, exactly. And so like to slowly, as she gets older, be able to show her this side and this piece that I have worked so hard on and that I am really proud of, just means so much. And then there's still so many people in this space, especially now because of this, that we love and that we know. Yeah. And so to get to like introduce everyone and have everyone together, like to me, trials feels like it's just going to be a really big family reunion.
100%.
And I'm so excited for that part of it.
So excited. Going back, I actually remember boarding the plane to Omaha and thinking about you. I don't know if you remember this, but really? I texted you and I was like, hey, like, cause I
remember this text.
At that point I had seen Hayes in Chicago and he was like, you and Missy need to, cause I think he knew you were struggling at that point. He's like, I really think you guys should connect. And I was like, oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I just remember like on the plane, I was like, I wonder how she's doing. Cause it's like her first, like, I remember what that was like in 2016. I was like, I wonder how she's doing right now. And I was like, I'll just text her. And
in like classic Katie fashion, it was just like, I just want to check in and just let you know, like, I'm here.
Yeah. I was like, there's nothing else I can say, but I just had this like feeling, which is so wild. Again, wild to Cosmet to look back, I'm never letting this go. But I just remember like the fact that we had no idea that we would be in 4 years, 3 years that we'd be back, like we were kind of like missing each other, but like there were like poles in the universe that was like, no, like you guys are going to need each other. And it's,
it's so beautiful. And I'm excited to just watch some fast swimming.
I
mean, Regan just broke the American record. She just,
at a random meet,
like absolutely flying. I'm so excited to watch Regan. I can't wait to see her. I'm just so like, our team is amazing. We have so much talent.
So much.
And we're just going to go and you and I just get to watch and cheer.
Watch and not be that nervous? Yeah. I mean, I think also like part of me, like compared to last year, like I know these swimmers now on such a deeper level. Like I didn't know Lily King, like I know her now, and Ryan Murphy and Kate. Like there's so many people where I just feel like we've gotten a little bit of their soul.
Yes.
And so I'm so much, which is our goal, the podcast, it's happened to us. I'm like, I'm so much more invested now because I know you as a human being and not just, oh wow, you just popped that American record. Like I am rooting for you on that deeper level because of who you are.
Exactly. Yeah. Which again, it's the whole reason why we started this whole thing is we want all of our listeners to feel like that. Yeah. And we're just going to have so much fun. I'm so excited about it. I cannot wait to leave in 3 days. Are you packed?
Obviously not. Let's put out a poll here. Like, I packed the night before. Missy
I've been packed for like 2 weeks.
Hence our fish bowls.
All right, everyone. Well, we are going to wrap this up so that Katie can start packing.
And go look up Cosmet.
And so we can go figure this out. Thank you guys so much. It means a lot to us to have this space to share with you. So we really appreciate you as our audience and our listeners, that you spend this time with us and that you allow us this time to be real and vulnerable. So hopefully this gave you a little bit more insight into what Olympic trials is like, both the wonderful, exciting, and the heartbreaking as well. But if anything, our only ask is please watch Olympic trials. It's going to be absolutely incredible. Tune in. You are going to see the best swimmers in the world doing what they do best. It is going to be so high energy. It is going to be so much fun. It is amazing. So please, please, please watch Olympic trials. It'll be on NBC. And what else?
Just signing off.
Signing off. Thank you guys. We'll see you next week.